To this episode of East Chicago Community Corner. I'm your host, Latonya Hicks, and today we're here with a very special guest, Pastor Emeritus of Zion Missionary Baptist Church, Reverend Dr. J.C. Wade Jr. Reverend Wade, I want to thank you so much for being here today.
And I want to thank you so much for inviting me.
No problem. Before I begin with the interview, I just want to say congratulations on a job part excellent with the book. I know it's not an easy task being an author myself. So
no, it's not, but over the last several years after I retired, there were so many pastors who asked me the key to retirement and how I was able to retire. And I certainly went in prayer, and the Lord gave me this vision to share with not only pastors, but there are so many people who have no retirement strategy.
Right. I know that being a pillar here in the city for so many years is very important that you get the message across, because so many people will be open to hearing what you have to say because you have so much experience and wisdom. So we just want to start by first asking you, how was your childhood growing up?
I had a very unique childhood, being the son of a pastor. I was in Memphis, Tennessee in my childhood, and then we went to Omaha, Nebraska, where I stayed until I was 18 years old when the Lord called me to preach. And my father wanted me to have some theological training. So I went to Bishop College in Marshall, Texas, and then later Bishop moved to Dallas, Texas. And we had the kind of training that I think God allowed me to have, my father and my mother. And I'm so grateful. Then I met my wife in college, and we've been married for over 50 years. I'm just so delighted. We have 3 children, we have grandchildren, and 1 great-grandson. Okay. Then I moved to Chicago in 1965, where I began pastoring Zion Baptist Church, and this is where the Lord just propelled my ministry, and I'm so grateful.
So what are some of the challenges you faced growing up? I know becoming a pastor at a young age and being African American.
Some of the challenges that I faced in growing up was not so much being so much Afro-American, but it was being the son of a pastor. Okay. And people have an opportunity to really critique you. And that's one of the things. Then when I went to college, we were faced with some discrimination in Marshall, Texas, and that's where I was able to understand the importance of my ministry. We did some sit-ins and some demonstrations, even went to jail. But God blessed us to leave an indelible imprint upon our culture, upon our society. So that's what has propelled me to where I am today, by the help of the Lord.
So why did you go to jail, if you don't mind me asking?
We had some sit-in demonstrations.
Oh, I thought you were
during
saying
those 60s.
That it actually led to...
Oh, no. We had some demonstrations, of course, during those 60s, you know, that we went to jail for demonstrations. So that's what happened with me.
So did you have any siblings growing up?
Yes, I have 3 sisters. I have 1 brother who also pastors in Los Angeles, California. One of my sisters passed away. She was a great musician. Then I have 2 sisters who are still alive. My father passed away, and my mother lives with my oldest sister in California.
Okay. So being the child of a pastor, what actually propelled you to become a pastor?
The Lord.
The Lord.
I heard His call, and when I heard His call, I answered. God said to me, as in He told to Jeremiah, that He called me to be a prophet to the nation. So that's my calling, that's my ministry, and I just love it.
Okay. Were you ever discouraged?
Of course, many times. Many times I was discouraged, and even there were times when I felt like giving up. But I learned something by the help of the Lord, and then I have a good wife who has been a tremendous encouragement. Then I had a number of people at the Zion Church who were there to undergird me in prayer. And so as a result, that helped me to realize that it was not about me, it's really about God.
Okay, so another question that I have is, I know you were the pastor at Zion Missionary Baptist Church. Did you actually start that church? Or?
Oh no, it was started when I came. It began in 1960, and they had several pastors before me. But in 1965, February the 20th, the Lord allowed me to come and be a part of Zion Baptist Church, and I'm so delighted. And then I'm delighted to be a part of the East Chicago family. I love East Chicago. I hear a lot of people talking about East Chicago, but I'm a lover of East Chicago, and I thank God for the East Chicago family, the community, and all the years I've spent in all the political figures and all those who've been a blessing to me, and the Zion Baptist Church in East Chicago.
Well, we appreciate everything that you're doing. So let's just start talking about the book. What made you want to write this book?
I'm a part of the National Baptist Convention of USA Incorporated, and I go to different meetings. One is in January, one is in June, and one is in September.
Okay.
And while sitting around relaxing, some of the pastors were asking me about my retirement. And so as I began to share with them my retirement, they said to me, Pastor Wade, or Dr. Wade, some call me Dad, they said, you need to put this in writing. This should not just be verbal, but you need to put this in writing because we need it. There is nothing out here about really pastoral retirement. And secondly, we do not hear a lot about retirement in general. Okay. So as a result, I spent 2 years praying, not even thinking about writing it. So finally, one of the pastors out of Ohio said, Pastor Wade, if you do this book, I will assist you. Okay. Oh, that excited me. Matter of fact, I cried. I was so excited to hear that someone would actually take the time out to help me do this. I literally cried.
Tears of joy.
And so as a result, I came back home and began to put some notes together. And it took me 2 years. It took me 2 years for this book to come to fulfillment.
Okay. As an author myself, I think one of the most difficult tasks with writing a book sometimes is not actually putting it together, but it's coming up with a title. Not too early, not too late. How did you come up with that title?
The Lord gave me that title. I attribute a lot to the Lord. You know, a lot of people say, well, you know, everything I do, I try to give God the glory, give God the credit. And I thought about it that so many pastors, either you go out too early or you stay too late. And that's how this title was born. Not too early. Don't go before God appoints that time, and don't stay too late.
Okay. Early on in the book, I read a couple of the excerpts that said, it's time, it's time. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. You always should know when it's time. And when it's time, some of the illustrations that I use in the book is that you know it's time when you cannot give God your best. Okay. Is that, and one of the things that really sealed it with me, I love Bible class. Okay. Bible class is one of my beautiful, I just love Bible class. I love it. That is one of the things that propels me to get to Sundays when I go to Bible class. I love to teach Bible class. And when I found myself not excited about going to Bible class, I knew I had to reevaluate where I was with my pastoral ministry. Then I understood that there were times when I'm a student, and those who are members of Zion, they know I'm a real student of the Word. But when I started going back and just getting some old sermons that I had preached and using those to preach on Sunday morning, I knew that I was losing something. Even though people didn't realize it, I knew within myself. So you need to understand the things that are moving you to not be able to do the things you need to do, then you know it's time to retire. It's time.
Okay, it's time. You also spoke about the transition. You say churches a lot of times don't know what to do once a pastor leaves or passes. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, most churches do not have a transition strategy. There's no transition strategy. Not only that, there's no exit strategy, and then there's no entrance strategy. What do you mean by that? I mean, the exit strategy is when the pastor is going out. He has no exit strategy. Then when the new pastor comes in, there's no entrance strategy. We have been taught to believe that you die as a pastor. That's not the way it happens in 2014. Okay. It doesn't happen. So what we did at Zion Baptist Church 2 years before I retired, we brought in our present pastor, Reverend Dr. Charles L. Thompson Jr. and his wife. They're doing an excellent job. I'd just like to make that insert. They're doing an excellent job. We're so excited about what's happening at Zion now. Our daughter, she's working with the music ministry. She's doing a tremendous job. He's doing a tremendous job as pastor. We brought him in 2 years before. He became a part of our staff. Then once he became a part of our staff, we had him to present a vision to our church. And to our executive ministry, they were so excited about what they saw in the vision that they said, hey, we need to keep him on his staff. Then one night, I'll never forget, it was on the 20th of February. Again, it's amazing. I was called on the 20th of February, 65. On the 20th of February, the Lord had me to call a meeting of the church. We met together. I shared with them what God has put in our spirit about recommending the pastor. It was unanimous. So we have never been one day without a pastor.
Really?
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
We have never been one day, because we have a praying, Bible-believing, Bible-practicing church. And the Bible says, I give you pastors according to mine heart. And that's the kind of pastor that we have, a pastor after the heart of God. And we just love him. And Zion is so excited, and we just thank and praise God for it.
So when you were transitioning from pastor to pastor emeritus, was that a difficult thing to do?
No, because I prayed.
You know, but actually having to step down, you know, not really stepping down, but that transition sometimes it can be a little bit difficult.
To some people.
Nice.
If you have not made any preparation, it can be difficult. Because one of the things that I really am excited about is that I don't feel I have stepped down. I merely stepped aside.
Okay.
It's not a step down. Retirement is not a step down, it's a step aside. And what I'm doing now with this book and the ministry that God has given us, I'm just stepping aside. And really and truly, it may be a step up.
It may be. It may be. You're absolutely right.
Because I'm impacting more people now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, another question that I have is your book tailored just to pastors in retirement?
No, it started off basically tailoring for pastors. But the more I got into writing the book, I'm finding out that it's tailored for anyone who is planning or need to retire. And so we need to understand that retirement is on the way. It's on the way.
It is.
You're not gonna be at this level all of your life. And we need to understand that one day we're going to have to step off of the scene. But one thing about it that I'm so excited about, and I'm just happy about it, that's why I can smile, because about retirement, you can have what I call a post-retirement life.
Okay.
What are you going to do after retirement? Not to go home and sit down and get you an easy chair. Find the things that you do best and be a part of the community. Make an impact. Be an impact with the young people, with our children, and then just make an impact with the community. And you will find out you can get excited after retirement.
Right. That's interesting you mentioned that. What are some of the things that you're doing now that you've retired?
The first thing I'm doing after retirement is I sleep late.
I love you sleeping.
Everyone at the Zion Church, even in the community, the pastors that I fellowship with, they know that 10 o'clock is my hour. I don't get up before 10. My wife and I, we love the 10 o'clock hour. And listen, some days it's 11, some days it's 12. And every once in a while, it may be 1. Then I decide what I'm going to do during the day. And one of the things that I love to do is I love to preach. And I have been invited to go a lot of places to preach. Secondly, I've learned that you can teach. You can use your experience across the years that you've been blessed with to share with others. The other thing that I love to do is I love to be able to be a listener. And in order to listen to people, then it helps to propel me to know what I need to do, to share with pastors, ministers, churches, because so many need this experience about what pastoring, what retirement is all about. And so many pastors are challenged in 2014 in this new era of ministry, because the ministry has changed. It's not like it was when I first started. And just to tell you this, when I first started off, we didn't have all the electronics and all this stuff. And I knew it was time to retire, because I point this out in the book, when all this electrical stuff came on, I'm not excited about all of that. I love to preach. All of the phones and the technology, I love it. We have it at the church. We have all the things we need to have. But me, all I need is a phone to answer and call. Text, all that stuff. I knew it was time to move off the scene.
It's time to move off the scene. Okay, when we were talking, you said there was a survey in Texas, 95% of pastors have no retirement and 75% have no life insurance.
Yes. When I was in Dallas, Texas at our national convention, I had a booth and sold my books at the booth. And while selling the books, we had a group who did a survey. And when they saw the book, they began to share with me the importance of how valuable this book is. And they said to me, Pastor Wade, the reason why this book is so important is because as a financial institution, we have taken a survey. And the survey says that 95% of pastors have no retirement. 75% have no life insurance. That's a tragedy. And the reason is because we have not developed a strategy for financial literacy.
Okay.
And that's our problem. So with this book and with the workshop that we're preparing to have in a few days, and we'll talk about that in a moment, is that we're trying to get people to understand financial literacy.
Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the workshop.
Okay. On the 22nd and 23rd of this month, July, at 6 p.m., we will be at the Zion Missionary Baptist Church, and that's 39 Drummond Street, East Chicago, Indiana, 46312, where our pastor is the Reverend Dr. Charles L. Thompson, Jr. We're being led by the Twin City Ministerial Alliance, where Pastor Darnell Johnson is our president. He's giving leadership to this, along with Pastor Howard, who serves as our coordinator. And we're thankful that on these days, there will be 2 days, I'll be leading this workshop on financial literacy. And the key thing about this workshop is to help empower people, not only pastors, but people to understand the importance of planning financially for retirement.
Okay. So, what's next for Reverend Dr. J.C. Wade Jr.?
Well, what's next is travel. And after that, I'm preparing now to partner with my wife, who's preparing to write a book. And her book is dealing with children's ministries. So I'm working with her now prayerfully as she prepares for this book. That's our next venture now. So other than preach and do a little traveling, that's about what we're going to be doing now, and also promoting this book. And I thank and praise God for it.
So what's the greater goal for this book?
The greater goal for this book is to share with people across the nation, not just East Chicago, not just in our national or state or district realm, but to share across the nation the importance of pastors' retirement and persons who are moving toward retirement age to understand that you can retire with dignity.
Okay. So if you had a message that you wanted to send to those viewers that are watching about your book, what would that message be?
The message is, it's not just a book for sale. but it's a book that will bless your life to understand that there are strategies that you can use as a person nearing retirement. Then after retirement, there are things that you can do to be a blessing not only to yourself but to the community, to our young people, to our children, and to the world. Retirement does not mean the end. It does mean a new beginning.
Well, I'm excited. Today we had Reverend Dr. J.C. Wade Jr. here in the studio. And I want to thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for all the insight.
Latonya, thank you so much for this opportunity to share, and you've been a blessing. I've enjoyed this, and I look forward to doing this again.
Thank you.
All right, God bless. Now give me a hug. All right, bless your heart.
God bless you too.
And also, as I close, let me take a moment to thank our mayor, the mayor of East Chicago, who was kind enough to give us this opportunity to share. And Mayor Anthony Copeland, let me say thank you so much, and God bless you, and all the citizens of East Chicago for this opportunity to share about our book and about our post-pastoral ministry.
Thank you again for watching this episode of East Chicago Community Corner. I'm your host, Latonya Hicks, and thank you so much for tuning in.